Hi, everyone. Ben Rogers. Great to be here. Chief Development Officer of Electrada. Trey, thanks again for inviting. So Electrada is a startup. We've been around for about 5 years, based in Cincinnati, which is actually Duke service territory, along with this region. We are a charging as a service company. So what does that mean? So basically, we are the ones who put up the capital to build, own, operate, maintain charging assets only for fleets. We don't do public charging or at-home charging or destination charging. So we're experts in managing electricity at depots. On this slide, you can see some of our partners, Daimler, who employs about 10,000 employees in the state of North Carolina, NRG, Holman, which is the largest fleet management company that manages 2 million fleet vehicles, Duke Energy, Autocar. Some of these are customers, so Comcast, Builders First Source, Red Bull, Ferguson, are all large companies with large fleets. Ferguson has about 5,300 Class 6, Class 8 trucks. Comcast has about 30,000 Class 1 through 3. Builders First Source has about 2,500 trucks. Red Bull's awesome to work with. Of course, they have about 5,000 vehicles. They want to electrify 1,200 over the next 5 years. So on the right-hand side, you see a lot of our kind of operational capabilities. We have electrified over 100 sites, so depots. Again, we only do vehicles that go back to depots. If you think about vehicles that go back to depots, 92% of Class 2 through 6 go back to depots on a nightly basis. That's the best way to manage electricity and reliability, is when they go back to a destination every single night. You can see some of our other metrics here in terms of how many emissions we've reduced over this time period. We are backed by BlackRock, so we use their capital to deploy all of what we need to do at sites. If you look at a site, 80% of the cost at a site is construction. Breaking ground, laying conduit, and then the other 20% is hardware and software. So that's the charger and then the software, the CMS software. On the bottom is really kind of our team's expertise. A lot of us do come from the utility industry. So we bring regulatory capabilities. We understand the merchant side of utilities, microgrid capabilities, electrical engineering. And so it's a really heavy utility background to bring high levels of reliabilities to fleets across the country. This is some of our capabilities, and as I mentioned before, we do a lot of the early stage design work at a site, a lot of the civil engineering at a site, electrical as well. You start off on a project by doing kind of the analysis of the initial site, what we call project preparation, just understanding kind of what the scope is. You get into the site design. For example, a lot of our projects have been in California, where we go out and we look at the site, what the building size is, how much electrical capacity is at that site, because obviously that's the biggest issue currently is electrical capacity. We look at the design in terms of where the trucks come into the site, how they go out of the site, how many hours, duty cycles, dwell times. This goes into all of our analysis to come up with a price. I'll get into our partnership with Duke Energy, but we don't build anything. We don't manufacture chargers. We don't manufacture software. We are purely project developers or integrators of assets to deliver reliability. So we do a lot of work around kind of testing of hardware, L2 chargers, DCFC chargers, and then also the software, making sure it's all interoperable so that we can deliver 99% uptime on a guaranteed basis to all of our customers, and that's critical. We outsource the EPC work, which is the construction and utility management piece here. And then really once everything goes live, we have a great customer success team that is on site for 30 to 45 days that makes sure that the telematics of the trucks works well with the software, the chargers. That's 80% of your problems, really, is the telematics of the truck and the software of the chargers. And then since we own these assets, under a 5-year, 10-year contract, we basically are focused on the O&M, the operations and maintenance of these assets under a long-term contract. In the energy world, it would be called maybe a power purchase agreement. Here we call it electrification services agreement. So we're managing these assets for these customers Ferguson was our first customer. They did not want to do this on their own. They wanted to outsource. Companies like Amazon, they've deployed 20,000 chargers, 20,000 vehicles, Rivian vans. They do not want to do this on their own because it's hiring more and more people as you scale up. So Amazon has 100,000 vehicles. They've electrified 20,000. They don't want to hire more and more people to manage these assets. And so charging as a service is essentially outsourcing for managing your fleet. I covered it a little bit already, but because we're from the utility space, we're very focused on reliability, right? Utilities deliver electricity about 99.86% of the time. Our focus is to guarantee 99% uptime so that the chargers are up 99% of the time so that the customer doesn't have to worry about whether the charger is working or not. That's our main KPI. Second one is actually we fix the price of the fuel. Electricity can be a lot more volatile in certain parts of the country than diesel or gasoline. So let's fix that price so there's consistency there. Risk mitigation, we put up all the capital up front from BlackRock. So the customer doesn't have to put up a penny until the chargers are in the ground and they're charging the vehicles. There's plenty of maintenance savings, fuel savings, and then we have our long-term contract with the customer. And that shows the customer that we're 100% aligned with the customer. So we're focused on their outcome and making sure that they have a great experience with this transition. This is a mobility microgrid. And so we look at every single depot, starting with the chargers in the middle, the blue chargers that you see in the middle. They're charging the vehicles, but we also think about electrical capacity at every site. And so there could be, we think in most cases, there's going to be battery energy storage assets that sit on that site for two purposes. One, for reliability for the chargers, and two, to sell excess power back onto the grid where it makes sense across the country. Normally, an independent system operator states. And then you would have solar here too. So when I get into our Duke Energy partnership, you'll see what they have in Mount Holly is something very similar to this. But we try and apply this approach to every single customer, is creating this mobility microgrid where, again, in a power-constrained world where you have more AI, more data centers, more manufacturing, more EVs, that's what the utilities are focused on, is providing more capacity onto the grid through generation, more transmission, more distribution. This is just kind of our go-to-market strategy. When we go to a customer, we assess what their goals are. We figure out where they are in their ordering of vans or vehicles for their fleet. We send them a questionnaire. We call it a fleet data request. It's about 8 questions. They fill it out. It gets us about 80% there in terms of analyzing their fleet. We also build what's called load forecasts, you were just talking about, to determine where load is picking up when they charge, right? Because utilities are going to need that to determine, how do they create load forecasts to add more assets to the electrical grid. And then we understand their vehicles, whether it's a class 1 or a 3 or an 8. We understand the battery size. And then ultimately we present our customer with a contract, an ESA, and then we really start our project. And so this is kind of a normal go-to-market strategy, sales process that we do with all of our customers. This is just, again, kind of our value proposition slide. Again, we put up all the capital, so the customer doesn't need to, which is the fully capitalized piece. The other main component is the reliability piece, which is the 99% uptime. We're focused on the customer's satisfaction, right? So we have a long-term contract. We're 100% aligned with the customer. Wherever they want to go with their fleet, we go with them. And so whether they want to start in Kentucky or they want to start in Florida or Georgia, wherever, we go where they want to go. And our focus is to work closely with the utilities to make sure that they have a great experience. Jumping into our partnership with Duke Energy, we have had a long-term partnership with Duke, and Duke has a location in Mount Holly, North Carolina, outside of Charlotte, where they've had a microgrid there for a long time. And so our thought process is, we built a whole fleet depot at this microgrid. They have solar there, they have storage there, they have buildings where you can test out smart meters, all types of assets that impact or are on the grid. And so it's their innovation center. So they've had it there since 2012-ish. Yeah. And so it really is a great site. It's busy all the time. There's a ton of training that goes on there. The folks there who have run the site are awesome. And so we built the mobility microgrid that I showed you earlier. Okay, so see here's the other picture was showing an overview of it. But you can see some of this area. These pictures before this was all gravel. So we put in DC fast chargers. You can see the lanes that we put in. This is right across the street from one of Daimler Trucks North America's largest manufacturing plants in North America. So Daimler is another partner of ours. And so this has been great for them because they can test out their Class 8 trucks, the e-Cascadia, at this site. This is it's a commercial site, so other companies can use this when scheduled, not unscheduled, so it's not public charging. But it really is great for any fleet to come and see and kick the tires with chargers, with utility assets, with storage, with solar. It's all there. And so it's a great site. It's a great partnership between a startup, a utility, and an OEM. So you're kind of main stakeholders in the process of fleet electrification. This is another site. You can see kind of to the left-hand side of this page is the original buildings of Mount Holly. And so you can see some of the fencing along here where this was the gravel area where we put in the DCFCs. You can see a lot of the power lines that are there too. And so when a customer comes, they can see all of this and what it could potentially look like on their own site. So we've had Volvo, Ford, GM. We've had other customers come to the site to see what it really looks like. Here's some other chargers. So right here we have Lincoln Electric, we have Alphatronic. So just a variety of great chargers to test out. Some more chargers, closer views. Thank you. All right.